Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. So today's video is a little bit of an update. I already made a video talking about screen time and chores and all that stuff, but today I'm doing an update because we switched it up a little bit. Obviously the new school year had something to do with that, so I'm just going to kind of go through how we organize that, how much iPad time they get, and also how we adjust it for non-school days. But before I start the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment below. It really helps our channel, or share my channel or any of my videos with anyone that might be interested in homeschooling. We are Homeschool Homies on TikTok and on Instagram as well, so follow us over there. So if you guys are interested in any of that, just go ahead and keep on watching. In the mornings, they get up pretty early. They can't get up anytime between 6 and 6:30. So when they get up, our deal is that they have to get their room tidied up, empty their laundry bin, and then they also need to get their morning work done, and they need to do a 15-minute stretch. Sometimes we might go on a walk or go outside and do something together. So it's more of a move your body stipulation, I guess. So it's not really just to stretch, but they do gymnastics, so they work on mostly gymnastics stretches. And we made a playlist, and there's a bunch of stretches on there that are anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes, so they usually choose the 15-minute one. And it's been very motivational for them. They're up and they want to have breakfast and then get on to do their morning work and their stretches and clean up their room because they want to get on iPad. So it's honestly been better than I expected. Sometimes one of them is on the iPad and the other one is still finishing up their stuff, and that's just kind of where the accountability comes in. So before, I would have them do all those things still, but it was okay, but you have to do it before 8 because 8 is when iPad time is, and from 8 to 9, the hour before school starts. School starts at 9. So that is the time that we use to kind of get ready for the day. Me and Ramses, or me if I'm home by myself, to get ready for the day, to shower. It's usually we've already worked out by then. So that's what I kind of used that hour for. But now that they're getting on a little bit earlier, it allows us to get our stuff done a little bit earlier too. So that's been really nice. So going back to if they don't have the time, or let's say they woke up late, or we went out to breakfast or whatever the case, and they come back and they barely get on by 8, then they still have iPad time from 8 to 9. So it's just kind of you get on earlier if you can, if you get your stuff done earlier, but if not, iPad time is still from 8 to 9. And you still have to get those things done. I do have an alarm set to prompt me, so that way I can check in with them, hey, you guys have 15 minutes. Have you done your, have you cleaned your room? Have you done your morning work? So sometimes, yeah, things get hectic, they forget, and they end up doing it the last 15 minutes or so before their iPad time. And sometimes it's past 8. It's 8:05, 8:10, and they're finishing up their room, or they're finishing up their morning work, or their stretches. So that is just kind of how we're doing it. I kind of just laid out the rules for the kids, and they're just oh, okay, so we can have iPad time whenever we want, So it kind of, like I said, has been more positive than negative. They don't get too much more iPad time than usual. The way I had it before was that they had an hour 3 times a day, so it would accumulate to 3 hours in a day. So now they're getting about an hour and a half in the morning, and then they're getting 2 hours after school. Something else that I don't really push is their zones, their chores in the morning, just because it's so early, and we 99% of the time clean up the night before, so everything's pretty cleaned up, and I don't really need their help. So I just would rather them clean up their room, make their beds, get dressed, and empty their laundry bin into the bins in the laundry room. That way I can do laundry and stuff, and I don't have to go to everyone's room to go look for laundry. So they are responsible for that. So I'd rather them do that in the morning and get that done, and that be their chores, their morning chores, I guess. And then later, when they have their afternoon iPad time after school, that's when I require them to do their actual assigned chores for the day. So their daily chores are different. They alternate it every other day. So one day one person has the living room and the kitchen table to clear off, and the other one has the like front entry and the island to clear off and to clean up. So those are the only 4 chores besides their bedrooms and their laundry bin that they are like assigned. So yes, sometimes, you know, they help us do other things in the moment when we're doing family cleanups or anything like that. But those are chores that are age appropriate for them, that they can get done without my help, that they don't take that long, but they're a huge help to get tidied up throughout the day. So midday at 1 o'clock is a perfect time for them, or 12:30, 12:45, whenever they're done eating lunch. We will have them do their zones. We call them their zones, and they will get that done. So that's a huge help for us, because it's honestly just toys and clutter and books and, you know, just random things that just need to be put away. And then also we've ran into the question of, oh, well, I didn't know where to put that, or I didn't know where that went, or I didn't know whose that was. So what we've come to the conclusion is, if you don't know where something goes, ask. And if you need help, if the area is very messy and you need some help, some direction from me, or if you need help from your sister, because the living room can sometimes get, obviously, you know, the most messy. So whoever has a living room that day, sometimes they need help. So that's when I tell them, if you need help, just ask for it. And I don't mind helping them or giving them some direction if there is a particular area that is overly messy. So ask whose it is, where it goes, what do you want me to do with it, and ask for help if you need it. So most of the time they don't really ask for help, but they do sometimes. Or sometimes when they're overwhelmed and they don't ask for help, I ask them, do you need help? Just remember, you can ask for help. So sometimes I will say like, oh, so-and-so, are you done with your zones? Yeah, okay, well, can you go and help your sister pick up 4 things for her and put them away? Something like that. So they're usually very receptive to helping each other, and it's no problem, because they know that when it's their turn and they have that area and it's mess, they would want someone to help them too if they needed it. So kind of pushing that narrative for sure. Okay, so after morning chores, and then we have school from 9 to about 12. We break for lunch, and then we finish up anything for school within that lunch hour while they're eating. We might read something to them or anything like that. So they have their actual afternoon chores. Their rooms are not very messy. I don't really, you know, ask them about their rooms at that point, because that's what we focus on in the morning. So afternoon chores is whatever zones they're assigned to that day, and then they have iPad time from 1 to 3. They have 2 hours of iPad time. That is a time when we will work on things. We'll do videos, or maybe we'll do some planning for certain things, and, you know, anything that we might need quiet time for, or uninterrupted time. Maybe we'll do the budget. We'll go over, you know, any financial things that we need to talk about. That's what we use that time for. The kids will have their iPad time, and then at 3 o'clock they have free time for the rest of the day. So I do encourage them to not turn the TV on like right when they get off the iPad. They know not to turn it on like right when they're done. I like to take out things to make sure that they have some options, some games, some, you know, just quiet things that they can do without having to turn the TV on. So we do prioritize some device-free quiet time right after iPad time's over. And then after that, they can turn on the TV until about 7. At 7 o'clock, we turn the TV off, and it's about an hour and a half before bedtime, and we get all our routines done, our bedtime routine and showers and everything. We'll usually do a read aloud the last 30 minutes before bedtime, and then that's it. So they kind of had to adjust to not having any iPad time at the end of the day, because they were used to having the 5 to 6 o'clock time slot for iPad time. But I think it's better for them to get that out of the way a little bit earlier on in the day. And then the TV, I don't mind the TV, to be honest. A lot of people, you know, are not TV watchers. I don't mind it. We don't have the TV on pretty much all day until after 3 o'clock. So to me, that's a win already in and of itself. For Mavis, yeah, we might put a movie on or a show on while we're doing school, but the way our house is set up, the kids don't really get distracted by that because the schoolroom, you can't see the TV from there, so that's kind of nice. Okay, so for non-school days are a little bit less strict. We still do the bedroom, like the morning chores, so they still do their bedroom, their laundry basket, and then they do get ready for the day and do their stretches. So the only difference is that they don't have morning work on non-school days. Generally for us, that's Wednesdays. We don't have school on Wednesdays typically, unless I change it for some reason because we have something else going on another day, but typically Wednesdays we don't have school, and Saturdays and Sundays. So those 3 days out of the week are a little bit less strict, so they still have to get their morning chores done, and they still have to do their morning stretches and stuff. And I forgot to say this too, but we do encourage them to go outside like as soon as they wake up and have a little bit of sun exposure. After they do that, they can get on the iPad. So like I said, it's about 7:30 they get on. So morning iPad time is over at 9, no matter what, no matter if it's a school day or not a school day. I do have a 5-minute warning alarm on their iPads. I put them on their iPads, so they know that it's time. After that, they do have their 1 o'clock iPad time, as if we were done with school, and they start their iPad time. And again, it's the same process. They check their zones, they clean up, they have an alarm on there, they get off at 3, so they're really good at getting off on time. And then we just started a new reward system, so anytime they get off on time and I notice it, I'll be like, oh, I'll give you a ticket, because I'm using the little ticket system. So I'll give them a ticket if they get off on time, or if, they're not complaining, or if they're, just being responsible about screen time. So anytime that happens, I do like to give them a ticket. So we'll see how that goes, but I might make a whole other video on that if it works out. That's why I didn't really do a video, because I've never really done a reward system like this before. I always thought they were kind of young, but now at 7 and 8, I think they know a little bit better, and they can make those choices. So definitely will probably update you guys on that, see how it goes. Another thing too is if I'm not checking their bedroom, or I'm not checking their zone, and then they get on the iPad, I will call them to come back and do what they missed. I'm not going to call them back for a pair of shoes or something, small. It's more of something obvious that they just purposely didn't put away, or they just got distracted and they just thought they were done and they left. I will call them back and say, hey, you should have done this. And some other things that I've kind of started to implement for iPad time that's related to iPads is when we go somewhere, I don't let them take the iPad unless it's, something where I know we're going to be there for a long time, or it's going to be a long car ride or something. Obviously I will, but if we're going to my parents, or if we're going to go to a restaurant, or if we're going to go to gymnastics, I would let them sometimes take their iPads because they would get bored, but I don't do that anymore. I let them take a book. We're not taking the iPads out of the house anymore. I just feel like it was starting to create a bad habit. So at the end of the day, it ends up being about 3.5 hours or so of iPad time per day. I do have a printable. I used a weekly spread, and on each day I just wrote their name and what they're tidying that day, and then I do have a spot where it's for everyone. So they also have the schoolroom to tidy when it's messy. That's not really just assigned for one person. We all contribute to cleaning it up, just like we all mess it up. So they do clean that up if we need to clean it up. Usually we do it right after school is over. I encourage them to help me clean it up while I'm making lunch or getting the lunch out. But if we do need to clean it up, we will do it as a team, or I'll tell them, hey, the schoolroom's really messy. Can you guys each go pick up 5 things and put it away, and then I'll finish cleaning it up. So something like that. The schoolroom definitely is a collective thing. And another plus for having an assigned chore every day for each kid is that when we're doing the evening time cleanup, I can say, hey, can you guys stop what you're doing, do your chores before you go take your showers, or before you brush your teeth, or whatever. Can you guys do your zones? And that's a lot easier than saying like, hey, so-and-so do this, so-and-so do that. And they're like, oh, but I did that yesterday, or oh, but this and this and this. And it ends up into, you know, also alternating the chores is also helpful, because I used to do it where like one person would have the same chore like the whole week, and they would get really tired of it. They'd be like, oh, I already did it yesterday. So even though there's only 2 chores per kid and they do it every other day, they would rather do it every other day than have it be like the whole week and then alternate the week after. So I collaborated with them. I said, hey, like, look, this is how we do chores. Would you guys like to do it like this, or how would you guys like to do it? So by now they kind of have it down to like where, you know, they did their chores yesterday. Today they know that they have the other 2 chores, you know, so it's easy for them to remember as well. But sometimes if they forget, I do have the printable up so that they can check it. Or if I need to check it, you know, and they're not around, I can say, oh, who had the island, or who had the kitchen table, or whatever, and I can have them be the one to clear the table, or I can be the one to tell them, hey, you know, can whoever has the living room, you know, oh, sissy, you have the living room, can you go clean that up? It's just a lot more convenient, a lot more organized, where we're not having arguments about who's doing what and why and they did it yesterday kind of thing, you know. So that is definitely a plus for me, to have an assigned thing for each kid to do that day, to be in charge of that day. But yeah, I think that's everything I have for you guys as far as screen time and chores and all of that. If you guys have any suggestions, maybe on anything you guys do for a reward system, or how you guys kind of cash in your tickets, or what you kind of give or take for, leave them below. Comment, it really helps our channel. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in our next video. Bye!